Hello, friends, and welcome to your moment of damn. Mm. Okay, friends, let's get into it because there is so much to cover today. So, first off, let me say this. Let me say this, right? There's so much to say, I can't get my thoughts together. The Republican Party is filled with racists, liars, and crooks, right? We know this. This is not news. But what has made the news is that JD Vance once again is trying to show Donald Trump and the Republican Party what a big boy he is by, I don't know what you would call it, folks, cosplay with toxic masculinity. I don't know what you would call it, but I'm going to go ahead and call it white supremacist American Idol, right? Or maybe the high school performance play of the KKK. I don't know. I can't come up with something witty right now. But what JD Vance is doing is taking white supremacist fringe right talking points with regard to what is making news in Ohio. And what is making news in Ohio, friends? Well, let me tell you. Right now, there is an area of Ohio called Springfield, Ohio. And Springfield, Ohio is now home to several thousand Haitian immigrants. And what the white racists are doing in this town that prior to the arrival of the Haitian immigrants was pretty much in economic decline. It was the rustiest of the Rust Belt areas. Their entire industry had been built around factories, had been built around kind of blue collar industry that has since left the region. And they were struggling. In come an influx of immigrants to this area, people that are displaced from their own homes, right, and brought into this area. And now Springfield, in many ways, is seeing this revival, this economic boom. And what is also happening is that the culture of that area, given the influx, is shifting and changing. This is, to me, not a bad thing because what it is proving is that immigration works. It is helpful, right? You have people that come in and do jobs and work and fill voids, right, that are needed to be filled. And so, what the racists have done, what the Republican Party has done, and those two things are just one and the same, is that they have started these disgusting rumors about the Haitians coming in and stealing pets and eating them. Yes, folks, that's actually a real thing that they've said and a real thing that JD Vance has echoed. And I want you to take pause for a moment because while most sane people would want to shrug this off and be like, well, that sounds like some fuckery. And you would be right because it is fuckery. But it's fuckery that is based in history that has to do with the dehumanization of Black people, of Black immigrants, but particularly of the Haitian community. Right now, let me give you just a quick bit of history. The country of Haiti was the first country to overthrow the colonizers, to overthrow their enslavers, right? The French. They fought them, they won, and they won their independence. As punishment for having the audacity to want to reclaim their own country back, the French forced them to pay, right? Much in the same way that the United States paid the slave holders, not those that were enslaved, but the slave holders for their loss of wages. The French forced the Haitians to pay a sizable debt for their freedom. And since then, this country has been punished not only by the French, but by the British, by the Americans, right? For having the audacity to showcase what Black independence could look like. So they couldn't possibly allow this country to be successful because then it would send a signal to other right? Enslaved nations where the population of those enslaved was higher than those that had colonized them. And so they used Haiti as their warning. Don't you dare get out of line. And folks, I tell you, take a look at a brilliant expose that was done in the early 2020s. Like, I want to say it was 2020 or 2021, that the New York Times, when they were actually still doing good reporting, did to provide the history of how Haiti has ended up in the volatile political, economic, health situation that it has been in, right? It had not always been that way. And what were the series of horrible decisions that were made by more powerful countries to punish the Haitian people? That little history now aside, there has been a movement when there was insane violence that was happening last year and this year, where they pushed out their president and the gangs were taking over the streets and people were seeking asylum. And the Biden administration opened up, right, the country to those seeking asylum and readily placed them. Since then, right, this area of Springfield, Ohio has, like I've said, seen an economic boom. There was recently an accident where I believe a Haitian driver or someone was hurt. And to showcase how dangerous immigrants are, right, in their xenophobia, the Republican Party has latched on to this idea that these Haitian people are these aliens that are eating pets and are, and need to go and are dangerous and all of these things. And JD Vance, the fucking person that is seeking to be the vice president of the United States, has been one of those people that is spouting these fucking lies. What makes me so disgusted, folks, is that these are this very same people that don't actually want you to learn about your history and know what their ancestors, the slaveholders, did in this country. The barbarian acts of torture and cannibalism and rape and brutalization that were done at the hands of their ancestors. If you want to talk about, right, barbarians, right, like, we can talk about the truth that you don't want told. But instead, you use this dehumanizing language to separate Haitian people from their humanity so that you can treat them any which type of way, and that you can turn, right, an entire community against them and be able to use them as your political football to say, this is why we should fear the other. But never look at where this area was in Ohio before they came and where they are now. And it is absurd. It is disgusting. But this is what this party does. They are just always brimming and overflowing with lies, right? And not to, to stay in this point, because all of these things are connected. Also in the news is the announcement by the Fraternal Order of Police that has decided to endorse an adjudicated rapist, a 34-count felon, a fraudster, and a grifter to be president of the United States over a former ADA, district attorney, attorney general of California, and vice president of the United States. If you ever want to understand why we have incidents like what we just saw go viral with the NFL player Tyreek Hill in Miami, Florida, and you say to yourself, like, how does this keep happening? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because in this country, the law enforcement is actually in the biggest employer of racists and bigots, right? And people who actually go into this profession not to protect and serve, which is what their cars say, but actually to beat and intimidate and oppress, right? It is not a protect and serve as if you are a part of this community. It is very much an us versus them. And who is the them? The them is those Black people who you are protecting property and white people from. So in Miami, when they see a wealthy Black man driving a car that they could never afford, right? They decide to weaponize their toxic masculinity and showcase a show of force. We know what would have happened in Miami-Dade if, in fact, Tyreek Hill was not an NFL star and was just a regular Black guy. He would have ended up as a hashtag, as we have seen happen so many goddamn times. So when you see and hear people talking about we need police reform, we need to defund the police and actually fund community policing and communities, because just a reminder that when you go into wealthy neighborhoods, you know what you don't see? Police. Ever. So this lie that we continue to tell that police presence equals safety is on some bullshit. And also, maybe if our policing wasn't set up in a way for them to reach quotas in terms of how many people are you pulling over, how many people do you ticket, and it was actually about reinforcing safety, then quotas wouldn't exist in the first place. And how about, again, if we didn't have, immunity for police officers that do this type of, I don't even know what you would call it. I would call it criming, because when you are brutalizing members of a community to make yourself feel good, that is not you doing your job. That is you committing a crime. And maybe instead of putting people on leave, you would just be fired. You see, if we actually had penalties that matched what it was that these police officers were doing, then maybe we would begin to reinforce a different way of being. But until we do that, these stories will continue to be headlines. But you know how I know that you ain't about the law and you ain't about protection? Because you've decided to back a felon instead of a prosecutor. I mean, folks, you can't make this shit up. And just as I close today, stay tuned to this channel, like and subscribe. If you are liking these videos, please hit the subscribe button and send these videos out to your friends. We need to support independent voices and independent media, because we know left up to corporatized media, folks, they just gonna continue to lie and play in your face. Stay tuned to this channel, because I'm going to be providing all of my thoughts with regard to the debate. And I will be on Mary Trump Media tonight. If you're watching this on September 10th, I will be on there tonight, as well as Zateo News with Mehdi Hassan tonight, if you are watching this. But otherwise, stay tuned to my channel, because content is coming at you fresh every single day. Real news, no bullshit. And that, my dear friends, is your moment of damn.